been so long since I was at Afghanistan, but it's just like a loop. So I don't know if I'm gonna post this, but I'm just sitting here and things haven't been going too well for me. I just feel like my walls are breaking down. You know, being a vet, coming back into the civilian life, being ripped away from everything that you know, after being in an environment that's just, it's just constant adrenaline, it's constant stress, it's just, you don't know if you don't know if the next sound of a gunshot or the next explosion is going to be you or your friends. Or it's so quiet right now on my property. The birds are chirping, you hear the bugs, but I hear gunshots. You know, it's been so long since I was at Afghanistan, but it's just like a loop. It just loops. Everybody else, I watch them just moving on, and time's going by for them, and I feel like I'm stuck. A lot of the times I feel like I'm stuck, and you know, I've done really good over the past few years that I've learned a lot of coping, and I've learned how to, you know, navigate things, and my family's been a big help, and I feel like I've been doing really, really good. And ever since my back has went out, I've had 2 back surgeries in 2 years, and now I have extra kids, and I can't work. I can't be a man. I can't provide for my family. I can barely take care of them on a day-to-day basis because I have to be the stay-at-home dad. But all my mental energy, all my power is going into focusing on the pain and trying to go through each day, trying to get things done around the house, trying to lift these kids and change one more diaper, and the excruciating pain that I'm in, just on a constant daily battle because of my back. I haven't been using my mental focus to keep my mind right, and I'm slipping. I'm slipping so bad. Somebody asked me if they could send out a veteran organization for a response. And reluctantly, super reluctantly, because this is always the type of shit that happens for vets. When vets ask for help, or when vets go to look for help, they don't get the help that they need. They don't get the help that they ask for. They fail. They drop the ball. And this is supposed to be in a veteran organization that was supposed to. And they never showed when they were supposed to. They didn't communicate. And it sent me over, well, it didn't send me over the edge, it sent me to the edge. And my family had to watch me in a break. They had to watch me be 1 foot in war, 1 foot out the other war, you know, 1 foot in the civilian world, and I'm tiptoeing both sides, not knowing what the true reality is. And I got drunk, and I wasn't trying to get drunk. And I scared my family. I don't drink. I scared them so bad. You know, people talk, they see me a lot of the times, and they're like, oh, there's nothing really wrong with him. Why isn't he, he seems fine. Well, all you guys see is the little iceberg that the Titanic, saw as they were coming. They saw what was floating over the surface, but what you don't see is underneath. What you don't see is the stuff that we don't tell. What you don't see is the stuff that we don't share. What you don't see is the stuff that just constantly eats at our soul. And the stuff that we do let come to the surface it's terrifying to most. It's It rubs civilians the wrong way. Our dark sense of humor rubs you guys the wrong way, but only another vet understands a vet. And if you say you're going to try to help a vet, help them. If you say you're going to be there, be there.
Sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is speak his truth out loud. In deeply emotional and unfiltered video that's gone viral across TikTok, a veteran opens up about his mental health struggles, life after service, chronic pain, and the heavy burden of feeling forgotten by the system he once served. With tears in his voice and raw honesty pouring through every word, he described what it is like to come home but never truly feel home again. But this isn't just a story of pain. It's a wake-up call, and what followed was something powerful. Veterans, supporters, and strangers flooded the comments, offering not only words of hope but real solutions, highlighting a new wave of leadership inside the VA, including a must-watch interviews that's given many a reason to believe again. Today, we are diving into the emotional story, unpacking what this man's cry for help really says about the veterans' experience in America, and why so many people are saying enough is enough. If you have ever felt unseen, unheard, or like you are drowning in silence, this video is for you. Let's talk about pain, hope, broken system, and what real support should actually look like. This is more than just a trading video. This is a reminder that behind every quiet neighbor, every stocky smile, there might be a storm. Let's talk about it.
Man, I just want to say don't give up hope, right? I used to feel exactly the same way you did, and I was starting to feel that way again under the last administration. But I would ask that you go watch this Doug Collins interview on the Sean Ryan show. He's our new Secretary of the VA, and this dude is a hard charger. He definitely seems like he's got our back, right? Like, he is lighting a fire under the VA. He's firing people. He's trying to merge the VHA and the VBA together. Like, no, you're just the VA. We're sick and tired of veterans spending 8 hours on hold to be connected to the wrong team, and then they just hang up and give up. He's like, if a veteran gets to you, you work for the VA, you need to be able to help that veteran, right? There's a lot of new programs coming. They're trying to push through the right to try more, to where we can actually try different medicines like Ibogaine, you know, things that might actually help us. Don't give up hope yet. Like, I know it seemed really meek and really like there was no hope for the last 4 years, but I'm telling you, this dude promised that in the next 18 months, it was going to be a whole new VA. We wouldn't even recognize the VA for what it was. So changes are coming. They see that it's a problem, and they're trying to fix it, brother. And all we can do is hold on to hope that it's actually going to get fixed, since we actually finally have somebody that even admits that there's a fucking problem, right? So I don't know what your religious affiliation is, but what saved me from this, from feeling the way that you feel, was Jesus, right? Go read Matthew 5 and tell me if it doesn't bring up some tears and make you feel like Jesus cares. Jesus cares, brother. We all care. I love you. Jesus loves you. The whole veteran community loves you. And I'm sure any of us, if you reached out, just personal phone call, personal message, whatever, we would drop everything we were doing and talk to you and try to help you. And I know these veterans administrations and all these organizations suck, and they prey upon helping veterans just so they can line their pockets. You know, it's an easy mission to get people to donate to you, and it's unfortunately easily corrupted. But it's all supposed to be changing. And for the first time in over 4 years, have I finally heard somebody even admit that there's a problem in the VA and that they need to fix it. So just hold on to hope, brother, and watch that interview. I promise it'll make you feel a little bit better. It sure made me feel better, and it made me feel like hope was coming, and like maybe there was a light at the end of the tunnel now. But anyways, we all love you, and God bless.
What sucks is nobody's gonna understand unless they've been there, unless they've done it. And the problem that a lot of veterans are seeing nowadays is the fact that they're just not seeing an out other than that. Like, they're not seeing the support that we're supposed to have. They're not seeing, and whether it be from the VA, from, you know, the outside world, from those close to us, like for some reason there's a disconnect nowadays. And so, brother, if you come across this, if you see that I've stitched this, and please shoot me a message, my friend. Like, there are so many parallels between the story you just told in this video and things that I've dealt with. That things that my friends have dealt with, my battle buddies, the guys that I deployed with. It's a never-ending battle. It's a matter of trying to quiet voices that really don't want to be quieted. And so I want you to know, brother, you're not alone. You're definitely not the only one that feels this way. You're definitely not the last one, the first one, none of it. Like, it is not a secret that this government has dropped the ball when it comes to our veterans. It's everybody knows. And so that's why I firmly believe that's why when we first started out in basic training, boot camp, whatever you went to, like that whole battle buddy situation is so incredibly important. It doesn't have to be somebody you served with. It doesn't have to be somebody that's even in your same branch of the service. There are folks out there that understand what you're going through, both physically and mentally. And there are far too few people that have experienced those things that are willing to reach out and be like, look, I know what you're going through. So if you haven't ever heard somebody say that before, let me be the first, brother. I know what you're going through. I may not have seen the exact situations that you saw, but I dare say it's pretty close. So shoot me a message. If you need to, I'll throw you my phone number. Give me a call, brother. Like, anybody else that comes across this, PTSD is a bitch. Because we don't know what's going on in here. We just know that things are that we can't control. So reach out, speak to people, whatever you got to do. You're more important than those demons. Just remember that.
If you can watch this, I would really appreciate it. And on behalf of any and all veterans, myself and my husband included, especially combat veterans, this young man pretty well encapsulates it, how it is after experiencing too much, too long, too intense combat. For my husband, it was 13 months, helicopter crew chief. And for the Afghan guys and the Iraqi guys, they just had endless redeployments. Endless. One guy was deployed 18 times to Afghanistan. I mean, what the fuck? We need help. We need help, y'all. Y'all need to help us. Nobody understands veteran health care. The wounds are so all arms and legs blown off. And yet, these folks eventually have a happy life, a productive life. Okay? They want these people to die. What Trump and all of these guys, what all this brouhaha is about, the guiding light is eugenics. They want to get rid of anyone who doesn't produce. Old people, disabled people, especially disabled children, because they're a long-term commitment. The elderly, I mean, we're all going to be disabled. Of course, I am disabled now. But you too, if you're 22, you will be disabled sooner or later. Could be sooner. Could be in an accident. You have someone to care for you? To buy the supplies? Because you'll have to be on Medicaid, if there is a Medicaid. So watch this guy, try to have some empathy. And for those of you that do have empathy, I'm sorry that you have to feel it like terrible.
It's hard to fully grasp the weight of a story like the one shared by this vegetarian on TikTok, but is one that needs to be heard. What stood out immediately was how raw and honest he was about the experience of reintegrating into civil life after being in the military. He paints a picture of constant adrenaline, constant stress, and constant danger, an environment where you never know if the next sound will be a gunshot or an explosive, a reality that many of us can hardly even fathom. But this Ventura doesn't sugarcoat it, and that is what makes his story so powerful. It looks into a world that's rarely talked about, where every day is a mental and emotional battle. What caught me even more was his description of the silence that followed when he returned home. There is a certain kind of eerie quiet that comes after living in a war zone. On his property, he hears the creeping of birds and the buzzing of insects, but his mind is haunted by gunshots and explosions. It's not just the physical absence of danger that is overwhelming, it's the mental scale that remains, deeply embedded in his mind, like a loop that never stops playing. This man is a stuck between two worlds, one of violence and trauma, and one of peace that doesn't feel like peace. And that is something that many people, including civilians, may never fully understand, no matter how much they try. The thing is, this vegetarian isn't alone in how he feels. This is the reality for so many who served and returned home to face an entirely different kind of battle. One that isn't as visible but is just as painful. The feeling of being ripped out from everything family thrown into a completely new environment and expected just adapt or get over it is something that millions of Vegetarians deal with. But for this man, it's also compounded by physical pain. After two back surgeries in 2 years, he's unable to provide for his family in the way he used to, and that weight is a crushing one. It's not just physical pain, it's the emotional toll of feeling like you are no longer the person you once were, unable to contribute in the way you did before. For many vegetarians, this sense of loss of purpose can be even more devastating than the physical injuries themselves. What struck me even further was how he shared his frustration with the vegetarian organization that are supposed to help. He talks about how when he reached out they didn't show up when they said they would. This resonates deeply because it's something that a lot of vegetarians experience. The system is broken and the ones who need help the most are often left to fend for themselves. This man who has given so much felt failed by the very institution that we are supposed to support him. It's heartbreaking to hear because we expect our systems to be there for those who have sacrificed so much for the country. But the reality is, many vegetarians fall through the cracks and the Usman story highlights how much of that happens on a daily basis. Then there is the darker side of it, the mental health aspect. The veterans admit that the pain has left him mentally drained, unable to focus on keeping his mind straight. He talks of slipping into a darker place, a place where everything starts to feel hopeless, and when the pressure becomes too much, he finds himself turning to alcohol, something he never intended to do, but in the moment, it felt like a way out. The fear that his family saw him in this state where he was no longer the man he wanted to be is something that many can relate to when it comes to struggles with mental health. It's a vicious circle. The physical pain impacts mental health, and the mental health struggles often worsen the physical pain. It's a dual battle that many vegetarians face. But what is powerful is that despite all of this, despite the darkness he feels, despite the pain he endures, he still finds the strength to reach out. It's not easy for someone to open up about those struggles. For many vegetarians, asking for help feels like a sign of weakness. But this man breaks that stereotype by sharing his truth. He is not afraid to say that he needs help, and that is something that needs to be normalized more in vegetarian communities. It's a reminder that asking for help is not a weakness, it's a strength, and is a necessary part of healing. Now let's talk about the responses this video has gotten. I have seen countless comments from people who have shared their own stories and offered support. One response in particular stands out. The viewer encouraged his vegetarian not to give up on hope and reminded him that change is coming. They mentioned Don Collins, the new secretary of the VA, and how he's pushing the reforms. This is important because for the first time in a long while, someone is acknowledging that there is a serious issue within the VA system and that change is needed. There are people fighting to make the system work for vegetarians again, and that is something that should give hope to those struggling right now. The promise of reform, of better care, is something that many have been waiting for. But it's not just a VA that is part of the conversation. There are also programs being pushed to try new treatments for PTSD and other mental health struggles. The possibility of exploring alternative medicine like Ibogan, for example, offers a new avenue for treatment that may work better for some veterans who have exhausted other options. It's clear that things are changing, but it's going to take time. The hope is that with new leadership and greater focus on the issues, the system will become more responsive and supportive of veterans' needs. However, there is a deeper question that needs to be addressed here. How do we as a society truly support our veterans beyond just words? The man in this video talks about how people often don't understand what veterans go through and how difficult it is to adjust the civil life. We can all do more to show our support, not just with plateau dies, but by offering real, tangible help. If we say we care about veterans, we need to follow through. It's not enough to just say thank you for your service. We need to be there for them, especially when they need it most. It's been made clear that these issues are systemic, and while these hopes on the horizontal, we have to hold ourselves accountable as society to support the people who gave so much for our country. The veterans in this TikTok video reminds us that while things may look okay on the surface, there's always more beneath. And the more we understand and emphasize with our veterans face, the more we can begin to make a real difference. So to this veteran and to all those struggling in silence, don't give up. You are not alone. There is help out there and things are changing. It may be hard to see right now, but there are people fighting for you. Keep reaching out, keep sharing your story, and know that there is a community out here that cares. Thank you for watching this video. If this story touched you, please like, share and leave a comment below to show your support. And if you or someone you know is struggling, don't hesitate to reach out for help. There are resources available. Make sure to subscribe for more content like this. And remember, you are not alone.